This is a PAR lesson presentation by Felicia Hernandez. This presentation will focus on Lesson 1 of a 3-lesson unit entitled The Stone Ages and Early Humans. Lesson 1 is titled The First People. Lesson 1 has a duration of 3 days, and the entire unit has 9 days of instruction and 1 day of summative assessment. This unit is intended for a 7th grade social studies class. The main focus of this unit is early civilizations and the evolution of humans through the Stone Ages, and more specifically the Paleolithic, Mesolithic, and Neolithic eras. Lesson 1 of this unit focuses primarily on the prehistoric people, how they learned to adapt to their environment that they lived in, and how survival dictated life. Some of the essential questions we will ask is, who were the early humans, and how did early humans live, communicate, and survive? As we go through the PAR presentation, I will refer to some of the student materials used in Lesson 1. The first is Holt McDougall's World History: Ancient Civilizations Through the Renaissance textbook and the accompanying guided workbook. We will be using Chapter 2 of this textbook during this unit, entitled The Stone Ages and Early Cultures. Chapter 2 is broken up into 3 sections, and those represent the 3 lessons that are in our unit. Section 1 is entitled The First People. In addition to these textbook materials, we will also be using a vocabulary inventory and a student article entitled Otzi, the Mummified Iceman Actually Froze to Death. To quickly review what PAR means is to understand that these lessons are developed in order to help students in content areas with their reading skills. PAR stands for Preparation, Assistance, and Reflection, and these are 3 different phases of a lesson that allow a teacher to help students practice critical reading and thinking skills. Let's discuss the P in the PAR lesson, preparation. The preparation phase of this lesson is a text preview. It is a way for students to become familiar with their text without giving them any sort of assignment. It allows them to comfortably peruse the chapter or area that you're reading at a comfortable pace for every student. In this lesson, we want students to stick to Section 1. I want them to take notice of things that they see, structure, themes, anything. Any and all observations are good. I would ask them to share it with the class and create a collaborative list on the board. Let's discuss the A in the PAR lesson, the assistance phase. The assistance phase will be done with a think aloud. After students have had time to take a look at the text and peruse it at their own pace during the preparations phase in the text preview, now it is time to look at the textbook as a group in an instructor-led think aloud. The think aloud gives students a way of understanding the textbook from their instructor's point of view. The instructor is seen as the expert of the subject or textbook they are teaching from, so it is an invaluable insight to the text when students get to understand how their teacher looks at it. The instructor should be very verbal during this think aloud, explaining the questions they ask themselves and the questions that we all should be asking when we're looking at a new text. Make sure you are sharing with your students the questions you think about when you are reading new things. This think aloud is really a step-by-step breakdown of how the expert or the instructor reads the textbook. The book will be displayed on the smartboard as a visual aid for students, and I would do this for the first few pages. It is really a way to help students look at textbooks differently so that the next time they open to a new section, they can use the skills their instructors do. After doing the think aloud for the first 2 pages of the textbook, I'm going to break students up into a group of 3 in order to practice some of the skills we just discussed. They will be using the Otzi article I mentioned earlier to use these new skills to investigate what the article might be about before reading it. The group will have 3 members, and one will be the investigator, one will be the recorder, and the other will be the checker. They will take notes about what they think the article will be about based on the pictures and bold words that they see, and then read it together. Finally, let's discuss the R in the PAR lesson, the reflection phase. During this reflection phase, we are going to use the activity Student-Generated Questions. Each student will reread the section independently and write down 3 questions they had while they were reading the section. These are not meant to be test questions or test creation questions, but rather real questions that they had as they read. After they have created these questions, they are going to get together in a group and try to discover the answer to their fellow students' questions. Maybe one student understood something that another student didn't, and they can help each other answer the questions that they had. This will also be a group of 3 where there will be the recorder, the asker, and the checker. The purpose of this activity is really to have students cooperatively answer questions and also understand things from different perspectives, as one student might have understood something that they did not. They will collectively answer the questions that they have created, and then we as a class will discuss it and reflect to see if there was any common themes and maybe discuss some skills that could be used in order to understand the questions that they had. The PAR activities are a great way to check for our students' understanding of content area reading. In addition to these PAR activities, we want to make sure that students are understanding both the reading and content. In order to do this, we are going to use the guided reading workbook pages 7 through 9 and the assessment on page 34 of Chapter 2, Section 1. There will be a similar check for understanding at the end of each lesson of this unit, and there will be a unit test at the end that will culminate all the material learned. Thank you for taking time to listen in on this PAR presentation that reflects Lesson 1, The First People of the Stone Ages and Early Civilizations unit.